Hey, what's going on, my friends? I hope you're very well. I hope you're staying healthy. And it's Monday. I hope you had a good weekend, right? So, in this video, I'm going to be doing something that you've seen me do before, start one of these bonsai from scratch. In this case, is one of the cuttings, one of the blue juniper cuttings that you've seen in several videos. And I also have a video on how to, propagate juniper from cuttings, so you can check that out in the videos that I have. So you can see that this little cutting is not so little anymore, and that we can transplant this one because it's already got, the indications of branches from this little tufts of foliage. So we can now transplant it and start working its primary structure as a bonsai. This is a perfect stage at which we can start to work as a bonsai, and in the future we're going to have something very cool because we took those first necessary steps to work as a bonsai. I'm going to do something a little bit different than previous bonsai from scratch. I normally use a mixture of zeolite or worms castings, and I'm seeing that works brilliantly. That works. It's a brilliant formula. I really like it, but it's got one downside, and it's that it's because it doesn't have a lot of organic material. It dries out very fast or fairly fast, and so you gotta keep watering and watering. And I realized that, for example, here we can see another juniper that also started as a bonsai from scratch. I realized that when you put a juniper in the same mixture, a very similar mixture, but it has less drainage, well, that what happens is that because it has less drainage and it dries out slowly or slower, the tree just explodes with new growth. It's very beneficial for the plant. And so we're going to do that. We're going to use one of these containers. It still has a lot of drainage, but it's not the same as a colander. The colanders, I still advise you use them. I still advise you try them. But yeah, you gotta keep an eye on your conditions, where you live, the conditions of the weather, the climate where you live, and that's gonna help you to find that sweet spot, right? Not too much water, not very little water, that the tree becomes stressed and it grows very little or it doesn't grow at all. So when you grow bonsai, you want them to be thriving. You want them to be growing and growing, because that's what's gonna help you to develop the structure. That's what's gonna keep the tree healthy. So it's something that you should always strive for, to find the right conditions in which you can grow bonsai where you live. Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna work this one today. We can see that we have it right here. I'm gonna place the camera over here, and we're just gonna remove it from the little pot. And originally, as we're gonna see in a minute, in a second actually, it was originally planted in zeolite, but it also has a fair amount of turfis. And as I've mentioned before, turfis has got a lot of water retention, so that's why it was growing so fast in this little pot. This cutting is about I don't know, maybe about a year old now, a little bit under a year. Yeah, and we can see that it's healthy, it's growing nicely, and we're gonna take a look at the roots, see what we got. Right, so what we're seeing here is we got a nice root structure. I can't seem to find a taproot, a very strong taproot, which is very good, because that means that we're not going to have to make big cuts that are going to leave, big scars, or that it can be detrimental to the tree's health. But let's see what we find. Okay, so look, here we can find the taproot. We can see it right here. Well, I can feel it right here, but there it is.
You see it over here.
So that's very good too, because it's just a matter of coming in with your pruners or with your scissors, doing this. A few more, and that's it. Yeah, we remove this, and this is what we're going to be working with. You know, whenever you're transplanting new little trees to its growing, its training pot, or its bonsai pot, you got to be very careful not to remove an excessive amount of roots. Yeah, I'm gonna pause the video because I forgot to bring the container that we're gonna use, but we'll be back very soon. And here we have it. You can see that it's very similar to the one, dried up piece of paper, to the one that we use in this one. In fact, it's the same. So we're gonna use this one. Reutilizing this, obviously. And here we got the substrate that we're gonna use, you know. And as you can see, it's my typical zeolite and worms castings mixture. But at the same time, like I said, we're gonna use a little bit more organic matter, so it's a bit more water retentive. Okay, so we start filling the container. Gonna put it inside the little here. You know, I'm gonna use my hands because you know it's a little and in about 4 or 5 or 20 handfuls. I'm gonna be high enough in the container that I'm going to be able to place the little guy. Okay, so little mound in the middle. I'm not gonna anchor this because this is gonna be, you know, growing very fast, and I'm gonna keep it in a place where it doesn't get a lot of wind. The wind's not going to disturb it that much. Interesting story about winds in trees is that trees actually grow adapting to wind, you know, strong wind currents. If you don't have a tree that is stressed and it's tried in a way by wind, it becomes very, very weak. You know, structurally, the wood it doesn't become tough. So when a strong wind current or rain or a storm, whatever, finally comes around, it's very weak. And that's a perfect analogy, isn't it? You have like a very easy life. You've always had things handed to you. You're not going to develop a strong character. And so when bad days or sad days come around, you're not going to be prepared. But anyway, that's the wholesome bit of the video for today. Okay, so that's basically it. You know, you just transplant it to a bigger container, and you keep it in a well lit but away from direct sunlight place. And you know, this little bad boy is going to grow and grow like crazy. In the near future, maybe at the end of summer, we can start thinking about wiring. But if you see that its health is not looking so good, maybe it stays there, it's a bit stunted, then you might want to wait a little bit or wait until next season, after it's pushed out its new growth. You know, spring, you know, that it pushes out new foliage, new little branches or whatever. So after that happens, then you can think about styling your tree. Yeah, so what we're gonna do next is water this, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, so here we go. We're outside and we just water generously. Yeah, I forgot to mention that I've also added a little bit of the soil that I came with, and we can see that Um, like I mentioned before, it would surface and that retents, or it's very retentive, water retentive. So it's going to be a bit more wet. Yeah. Um, the new mixture, the new soil mixture that I use for organic matter, it also has coconut fiber. So you can see that it's that little, you know, like, I don't know how to describe it, but that's a little mass that floats up to the surface. That's the coconut fiber. Yeah. So if you can see that the water is running, it's because it's got nice drainage, you know. And that's it. Like I said, um, you know, a well lit spot away from direct sunlight. And I'll keep you posted on this one. The next step for this little guy would be to fertilize and then wire. And I'll definitely show you how to do that. Yeah, or how I do that, because there's tons of videos, but we're going to see how this little blue juniper develops. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. If you have any comments, questions, or anything, please drop them out below. Happy to hear from you anytime. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.